Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park attractions to determine if they are world class. I'm Ryan Bergara.
I'm Byron Marin.
And for this episode, we're doing something a little bit different in that we're not covering a single attraction, but rather this will be a news roundup of sorts in which we break down the details and timeline of all the exciting things that they announced at D23 this past weekend. And it was a lot. So buckle up, folks. And at the end of this episode, we're also going to reveal our top 5 announcements from the D23 Expo in a style that will be very familiar to those of you who were fans of our previous endeavor, the Saddest Podcast on Earth, where we did aggregate top 5 rankings in which we combined Byron and I's top 5 into one singular list. We'll go over how we do that at the end of the episode. But like I said, if you used to watch that show, it'll be very familiar.
And since this is a theme park podcast, the D23 Expo covers all things Disney. We are simply going to talk about everything that relates to these.
Good point.
Horizons. That was
panel.
The name of their park panel
Park
year,
panel.
the big showcase.
And to that degree, I guess we're going to jump into some brief history here, Byron.
It's more like a series of bullet points I put together for context for those who are unfamiliar with what D23 is.
I imagine if they clicked on this video, they probably know what it is.
They probably have a good idea. For those unfamiliar that are just excited about these upcoming Disney attractions, D23 is the name for Disney's official fan club. It was founded in 2009 by Bob Iger. The name is derived from the year 1923, being the year that the Walt Disney Company was founded. There are different membership tiers that exist in the D23 fandom. I will note that there is a free membership, but the other ones, I believe you get certain perks. More relevant to this episode, D23 runs an expo once every 2 years, as in their main expo. The first one of these was held on September 10th through the 13th of 2009 at the Anaheim Convention Center. Every D23 Expo has been held there since. Now, this is not to be confused with Destination D23 that happens in the years in between the main Expo event. Those are now held at the Contemporary Resort over at Walt Disney World. I do believe their inaugural Destination D23s, though, happened at the Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah.
So cool that they get to switch coasts each year, but Anaheim Convention Center, absolutely massive. That's
an absolute fucking unit.
The main place to host the main showcase or something of this caliber, which is what we're covering today. Although, funny enough, this Horizon showcase actually took place at the Honda Center down the street.
Oh, I didn't know that.
From the main Anaheim Convention Center. So everyone attending this event was shuttled over there. And then for further context, for people that don't live in around the Orange County areas, Honda Center is mainly known for hosting hockey games and other concerts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I rode my bicycle down there to go see Blink 182. I parked my bike outside. Anyways.
One more thing I will add is they always called this the D23 Expo. They dropped that name, and now for this year, they called it D23, the Ultimate Disney Fan Event.
Cleaner, much cleaner.
Yeah,
sure.
And then I think they just wanted to remove Expo from it. Maybe that was just
that's the old
maybe
rule
felt
of
a little
media.
too corporate-y, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's the old adage of media to make things cleaner. Drop one word and add 5.
Yeah. And then, like I already mentioned, the name for this park's showcase that we're covering today was called Horizons, which is of course based off the name of the Epcot attraction. That no longer exists. But I think it was a fitting name for what they announced.
And with that, actually, we're going to get into what our expectations were, just really briefly. And to get into that section, I actually have a quote here from Josh Tomorrow himself. He said this at the beginning of the panel. Quote, "I've got a lot to share, and everything we're going to share is in active development. This isn't blue sky." End quote. Which is obviously kind of a response to the backlash and criticism from last year's D23, in which everything, honestly, not even just last year's, it's been for a while. It's just been these kind of wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah.
If.
Exactly. They definitely listened to the criticisms of the whole blue sky announcements. Yeah. Although, Destination D23 was last year, and although it usually doesn't get hit with the caliber of announcements that you're going to get from the main D23 event, still, literally, everything last year was just, wouldn't it be nice?
It was that's what giant
they should have just played the Beach Boys. Wouldn't it be nice if there's Encanto?
It was basically a giant Google Meet that we were all invited to, in which they were just throwing around ideas. For also those who don't know, blue sky is a term used for ideation and concepts that, aren't exactly going to happen, or they may or may not happen. It's like Blue Sky's like, if you had all these resources, wouldn't it be cool if this happened, essentially? It's like the earliest phase of Imagineering. Anyways, so this is all concrete stuff. Some of it we don't know. And by don't know, I mean some of it we don't know in terms of timeline, but we do know that it is going to happen, it seems. Byron, what were your expectations going into this?
I expected a good amount, I guess. I mean, I felt like they had to.
Oh, they had to.
I felt like there's no way they're going to.
Why did they have to, Byron? Was it because something epic is coming?
Yeah, perhaps. I think it was a combination of a few things. I think, the fandom within the Disney parks has kind of voiced a lot of their concerns in recent years. And then you contrast that to Universal, who's, building everything under the sun lately.
That's right.
They have this massive new theme park in the works, in addition to like bolstering up all their other parks. This is very reminiscent of when the Wizarding World first opened, I felt. And then this was going to be the time where we kind of realized whether or not Disney was up to the challenge ahead, to show that they are still the gold standard in theme parks and innovation and, drawing a crowd, which I think no matter what happened at this event, I still think Disney is always going to have that major market. And I don't think that was going to necessarily fall apart to the extent that many people would like. There's a lot online. Let's just say
public opinion and sentiment, though, even among like non-park heads, has started to kind of falter in terms of Disney, just in terms of like, not only are they not offering a lot of the new things, but just from like a experiential standpoint at the parks, things are getting more and more confusing and convoluted.
That was one of my biggest concerns out of all of this. I know, like you just touched on, like a big criticism of, they're not getting the exciting attractions at the rate of like what Universal is like pumping out at this point. They're taking forever to get these projects made. They released this concept art only to kind of scale back.
Yeah.
Or just drop the project completely. But my biggest critique in recent years has actually not been with the attractions themselves, but the overall guest experience.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I guess we could touch up on like on our takeaways at the end of this show. But when it came to, I guess, can we move into what we actually got?
Yeah, let's go into some of the timeline. Let's just get straight into it. And I there was plenty of ways for me to organize this list of announcements. I thought about doing it by attractions and shows, or I thought about doing it by parks, like which park is getting what. But I actually think the cleanest way to do it is timeline, because it's like nice to hear all these exciting things, but when are we actually going to get them? So what I did was, we're going to start by, the first part of the list is going to be, what year is this thing opening? And if we don't know when it's opening, what year is it starting to actually break ground? When are they going to actually start constructing this thing?
Shovels in the ground was like a very common saying leading up to this event. I believe like one of the first days of D23, before the day of the actual big panel.
Well, like I said,
Bruce Vaughn, who's back with Imagineering.
Yeah.
He mentioned, this year's, we know what you guys want. We want to get those shovels in the ground.
Well, you can't stand in line for concept art.
No.
Which they would lead us to believe in the past.
It's getting warmer. And you know what that means? Finding the right temperature at night is gonna be tough. But did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long.
Nice, because I work up a sweat when I'm at the theme park.
Oh, I bet you do. I see it.
I'm sopping wet.
Miracle Made offers a whole line of self-cleaning, eco-friendly bedding such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent 99% of bacteria and require 3 times less laundry. Miracle sheets are also luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels.
Bullshit, Byron. There's
gotta
no
try
way.
it for yourself, but you have, and you know it.
I can't believe it. 5-star hotels?
If there were 6-star hotels, it'd probably be better than those too, yeah. So quit throwing away all those precious hours in bed and go to trymiracle.com/FYA to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, like, maybe Mari.
Or myself.
Or yourself. Maybe give yourself a few of those. If you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code FYA at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%.
That's crazy. Normally when you type in FYI on the internet, it usually says, what's that?
That is true.
Did you mean FYI? Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund.
Nice.
Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/FYA and use the code FYA to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/FYA to treat yourself.
Your recording.
Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
Let's just get straight into it. Starting with what opens in 2024 that was announced at D23. This was an announcement because we knew this ride was coming, but Tiana's opening at Disneyland November 15th, just in time for winter when everyone wants to get on a log flume. This is confusing to me.
I don't think it's very confusing. I think it's unfortunate, but I think when they announced that Splash Mountain was closing in April of 2023, I was already upset because I had a feeling that they were not going to be able to turn this around
in time for summer. Yeah.
I felt that they should have waited until the conclusion of summer 2023 and then closed it down.
Yes.
So that they would, get a proper, spring or summer opening. And then as soon as we noticed a lot of malfunctions going over on the other coast, and once again, like I haven't seen any of this ride.
No, I've done a media blackout of not Splash Mountain, but of Tiana's, just because I don't want any spoilers. I don't like experiencing any ride through a POV for the first time.
Yeah. So what I haven't taken really anything in visually from this attraction, or know anything really about it besides that, through the grapevines, we heard that, okay, this
it's not doing well,
experiencing a lot of downtime.
Yes.
I guess, like the animatronics are probably the main culprit of that.
I was going to say it's odd for a ride that's a reskin. The same ride system, everything, for it to be having malfunctions.
Yeah.
They've had plenty of time to figure out that ride system to the tune of several decades. So
yes. And I did hear, I might have had some sources maybe hint to me that the ride system itself didn't get the overhaul that maybe should have, but then once again, that would have been
delayed.
Quite an endeavor.
And it would have delayed everything. I am sad that we didn't get this ride as early as Walt Disney World did. And opening it a water ride in the dead of winter is a bummer. I guess November 15th isn't exactly the dead of winter. I guess you would call that the end of fall, but it's going to be cold.
Yeah, it's a weird, once again,
I'm going to be in line.
This wasn't
I'll be in line.
This wasn't in their plans. They wanted this out for this summer. But kind of on par with a lot of the turnaround times recently, this makes sense. But at least we do have an official opening date.
And it's really funny too, because they accomplished their goal in terms of burying this announcement. They really just dogpiled a million different things on top of it. And it was like, we're going to get this. Tiana's opening in winter. Just keep moving along. Keep talking, Josh. Anyways, that's all that's opening in 2024 as far as what was announced.
I mean, we don't got a whole lot of year left. So
no. We're recording this in August. If you're listening to this somewhere down the line, and obviously if you're tuning in weekly, then we're in August right now. Okay, now let's go into what opens in 2025 as far as what was announced. First thing I want to talk about is the Walt ride is what I'm going to call it.
The ride?
That's right. Walt the ride is going to be opening in 2020 or opening in 2025. Actually, what the official name is, what is this? It's the Walt Disney A Magical Life is the official name of this show / attraction. And it's going to be over at the Opera House. And it's going to be also rotating with Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which I was actually worried that we were going to lose Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. So to know that it's going to be in rotation with that, pretty awesome.
Yeah, I never knew I'd feel so worried about, because the rumors have been circulating.
Oh, no one goes in there too.
For this Walt animatronic. So that combined, like you said, with the low demand,
yeah,
I was really worried for Lincoln.
I was too.
Because I feel like like Walt himself would be like whirring
Yeah.
from the grave, like, don't take away my Abe. So
Wouldn't it
the
be funny though if they took out
opportunity-
Abe for him?
Well, that's what I was of like. So I would have felt bittersweet. Like it was
Yeah.
hard for me to really get on board with this, knowing that Walt had such an admiration for Lincoln,
In history.
and I would have always wondered like how he actually would have felt about it.
Not- Oh, sorry, go.
But like you said, it's going to work in a rotation with Lincoln. So the fact that these two kind of get to
Yeah.
carry their legacy on,
That's right,
in
dude.
harmony together is incredible.
These two animatronics are going to be chilling in the break room, just chopping it up between sets. We don't know too much about this show. A Magical Life, I would assume that just kind of has Walt. They're probably going to have like some version of him, maybe a segment from The Wonderful World of Color or something like that. Or, you know,
I could see him doing, because you like,
Dedication
for example,
speech.
Exactly. Like the Disney opening,
Yeah.
for all who come to this happy
Yeah, the
place,
classic.
you know, I could see that happening at the end of the show. Like,
that would be sick. That actually is corny as hell, but I would love it.
yeah, Lincoln does his speech at the end. Walt's going to get his speech.
No, he'll get
I
his.
think at this one, I think dedication is a pretty good guess.
Walt's going to get it in. Here's some quotes actually that got me very excited about this. This comes from Tom Fitzgerald. He's the senior creative executive at Walt Disney Imagineering. Quote: "We've created so many audio animatronic figures over the years, from pirates to presidents, but to create a figure of Walt Disney is an honor and a challenge. How can we create a lifelike impression of Walt Disney with the nuances that made him unique in person? The twinkle in the eye, his expressive face, those eyebrows." I don't know why he took the time here to say those eyebrows. "And the way he used his hands to punctuate his thoughts and ideas." He also added that Imagineers, quote, "worked closely with the Walt Disney Archives to ensure we had the details as accurate as possible." And finally, quote, "We scoured through his speeches and documents to find the words that would bring him to life in a way that would feel as if we dropped into his office for a chat. Our hope is that the end result will give guests the best sense of Walt and his engaging and warm personality." And they also went on to say that, quote, "The audio animatronics figure of Walt will incorporate features and innovations that have never been achieved before. It will be the most lifelike human figure we have ever created. This project has been a labor of love for the team of Imagineers, one which we hope Walt would have been proud of." End quote. That's going to be so cool. I know there was a lot of sentiment online that was all over the map. Some people were like, "Hey, this is awesome." And some people were like, "This is creepy and a little weird." I don't know where I fall, but I will say, just as a Parks fan, I'm very excited just to see how lifelike the animatronic figure is. So for them to come out and say this is going to be the best animatronic we've ever built, I'm very stoked.
Yeah, I think it's also going to serve as like a really good introduction, because this is good. This is at the front of Main Street.
It's
in
at the
that
front.
opera house. It's so for people like starting their day out. I mean, the big theme park sickos are probably rope dropping other stuff.
Yeah, well, let's go rope drop Walt the ride, dude.
But for people like getting their first introduction to Disneyland, what a great first attraction to go in. Like I saw like in the concept art, you could see him standing in front of a massive map of, 1955 Disneyland, or it looks something of that.
I hope in 2034, when they need to reignite interest in this ride, they make a walking Walt animatronic that just walks out of the opera house onto Main Street and just starts talking to people, starts freaking out the kids. He looks like an old man, but then he walks over to like a park bench and just lifts it out of the concrete. Just does crazy shit like that. I'm excited to see how lifelike it is. And I think that's where my excitement is at its base. How do I feel about them recreating Walt in general? I think it's a little odd. I don't know how to feel about it. It's uncanny.
It all depends about the execution.
It's just like, oh God, how do I say this? It's one of the things I think that has gotten the company into trouble is being too beholden to, would Walt want this? And then people using that to basically shoehorn in their own opinion of what should happen. And I think you could see this as them just still looking to the past instead of innovating towards the future. I don't know if I'm there. I know that's what some people online think. I am curious, is all I'll say.
I think the Opera House on Main Street is the perfect place to do it, though.
Also,
I think the stakes are very low.
Oh,
at
yeah,
that part
super
of the
low
park.
stakes.
I mean, they've already had Lincoln going there forever.
It's going to interrupt the viewing of the regular 2 visitors that go over there to see Lincoln.
No, my real question is, when's the Eisner animatronic coming in?
Oh boy. And now we're talking. They should just have, instead of a hall of presidents, just a hall of Disney CEOs. No, I'm excited. And if anything, it will reignite interest in the Lincoln attraction for a younger generation. Because that is a good show. I want to cover that show at some point on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I was actually starting to think we better do it soon before it gets closed. And then by the time D23 came, it kind of just snuck up on us. And I was like, oh shit, we missed our chance. Yeah. It's because they're about to kill it.
I'm curious to see how this rotation is pulled off.
Yeah.
I think the first thought amongst many fans is that it's going to be some sort of turntable.
A turntable kind of like carousel.
So I'm wondering if like they'll do like one show Lincoln, one Walt Disney, or if it'll actually be like a seasonal kind of thing.
Or
so
Lincoln
sort of
gives
like
his speech and the Walt animatronic walks on stage, taps him on the hand, tags him in like he's wrestling, and is like, my turn. Like, that would be sick.
Oh man, if he walks in, that would be
If he walks in, hello. I'd be fucking freaked out. People would be screaming. Anyways, let's move on. What else opens in 2025? Opens, by the way, not is starting construction. These are going to open. Walt is going to open. He's going to come alive in 2025.
And that is part of also the 70th anniversary of Disneyland.
That is correct. Also opening in 2025, Test Track. The new Test Track 3.0, are going to be very, very much more based around the world of motion that was once there. Very excited for this. It could only go up from what it was. We've already covered Test Track on the show. You know what I think about the new version and the Sim Track. It sucks. So anything is better than that, honestly.
They didn't really give a lot of new information.
They didn't need to.
Honestly, just giving, I guess you want to call it the assurance that it's
opening 2025.
That was huge for me.
I actually was scared 2026, to be honest.
My first thought was it was going to be like a 2-year project.
Me too.
So the fact that they're getting it turned around in a year, I think that's going to be really healthy for Epcot and keep their capacity at a.
Well, the fact that park, that Epcot, took 4 to 5 years to move some dirt around and then build what looks like an abandoned bus stop.
Oh boy. Yeah.
You would think that
it's, that park's incredible when they butchered the entire middle of it and yet it's still awesome.
Yeah. And I love Epcot, but I don't know about that new pavilion. Anyways, that opens 2025. Also 2025. I am stoked for this, by the way. No one's given this a lot of love. And I know this is pretty much for the theme park sickos out there. Spaceship Earth Lounge, opening 2025. And it says soon, in quotes.
Damn. I thought you were really going to miss saying that you were going to try and get into the Siemens Lounge.
No.
That was the original. I think that was what it was. But it wasn't for everyone. I think
but
it was because that's like a member.
Yeah, because that was the sponsor of Spaceship Earth, or is still, right? No?
I don't believe it is anymore. Okay. We could double check that, but I think that
it was for a time.
Because I know Small World sponsorship under the Siemens ended in 2017.
I see. This bar, the concept art of it looks really refined. Looks very modern. It kind of looks like a bar that you would get like in an old Hollywood place, like you would have a drink here at The Shining. It's just awesome that it's in Spaceship Earth. Anything Spaceship Earth themed is cool to me, just because it's not a major attraction, but it's so beloved in the park community. So I'm pretty stoked.
And it is space that otherwise people weren't really using.
Exactly.
So it's accessible, I believe, to everyone.
You're telling me that I can knock back a cocktail and hear the dulcet tones of Dame Judi Dench as I'm taken through a ride through space and time? That sounds awesome. I'm already kind of sleepy on that ride and just relaxed. Now, if I have an old fashioned in me,
And from what I've heard of people that have been to the Siemens Lounge, apparently that view actually kicks ass.
Yeah.
I remember there was once upon a time.
But this is going to be open to the public, though.
Yeah. So that'll be neat if they keep that view. Supposedly, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Especially to fill the void of. Remember when they announced that multi-floored lounge area in the middle of Epcot?
Yeah.
That they scaled back on and didn't do. Hopefully, that fills that void.
Well, this is also right next to another lounge in Epcot, which is there's a secret lounge over in Mission Space. We're going to be covering that attraction very soon, by the way, so stay tuned for that. But that lounge overlooks the boarding area and I think part of the ride itself, which is funny because you could be drinking, getting dizzy, watching people get off a ride who are also dizzy.
Love it.
It's awesome. But yeah, Spaceship Earth Lounge, Soon, 2025. Also opening 2025, staying in the drinking theme, the Pirates themed bar, the Pirates Tavern. This is going to kick ass, folks. When they announced that the Haunted Mansion bar was going to be exclusive to the Disney Wish or something, one of their cruise liners, I was so sad because I wish they would do more of this. I wish there was a Haunted Mansion themed restaurant, but a bar in the world of pirates feels just like a no-brainer. I'm very, very excited for this. This is going to be opening in Magic Kingdom in 2025. There's going to be apparently a bunch of pirates storylines that are going to be interactive in this bar as well. I'm a huge fan of Trader Sam's. Obviously, this podcast room is themed somewhat after Trader Sam's, and by somewhat I mean heavily. So the fact that they're going to be taking that kind of level of care and detail over to a pirates themed bar,
which I don't think they have a lot of places to drink in the Magic Kingdom.
They don't. They really don't. Which makes, it makes sense.
Yeah. I can only imagine that this is going to be a reservation system similar to
Cantina.
Oga's Cantina, which is a royal pain in the ass to get. But
man, I really cannot wait to knock back a few here. Just this and then getting on their shitty version of Pirates. So beautiful.
Just make sure you get that resi in for your drinks 60 days in advance.
Let's keep going for 2025. The Zootopia show opens in Animal Kingdom. Winter of 2025. Reserve your tickets. I can't wait to see that sloth move super slow on stage. I hope it takes up 5 minutes of showtime.
Yeah, I'm sure that when Joe Rohde originally helped design the Tree of Life, he was thinking, wow, so Zootopia is a perfect fit.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait to have Jason Bateman in here. Love Jason Bateman, by the way. Hercules Broadway style show. I don't know why I said that like a fucking Siri. There's a Hercules Broadway style show, kind of like in the ilk of like Aladdin when that was over in California Adventure. That's coming to the Disney Destiny in 2025, which is one of their fleet of ships. Disney Starlight is a new nighttime parade to Disney World. It looks like a souped up version of electrical light parade. Opens summer 2025. Includes things like Encanto, Peter Pan, Frozen. Looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm not a big parade dude.
Seems like it kind of feels like a new version of when Disneyland had the Paint the Night parade. A little bit.
Yeah. I like the Main Street Electrical Light Parade. It's pretty much the only parade I enjoy. Oh, and the Christmas Fantasy one, but that's because those are so caked in nostalgia for me.
And they both have like banger songs.
They have banger songs. This one, it's hard for me to get into like a parade now as an adult. But if you love parades, this one looks kind of cool because that's everything for 2025. A pretty decent year, honestly. You get one major attraction in Test Track. You get I consider a major attraction in Walt Disney: A Magical Life. I think that's going to be awesome. I'm going to still call it Walt the Ride because why not? And then you got a bunch of shows and 2 great bars. So, it's not like a groundbreaking year, but there is going to be some groundbreaking happening in 2025 for things to open up later. Anyways, let's move on to 2026. The Mandalorian and Grogu, they're going to have a scene in Smuggler's Run, which is going to debut in 2026 at some point. I'm not the biggest fan of that attraction. I think it's fine. Getting a new scene for that is like cool.
Is it just a scene, or are they going to update the mission as a whole?
I think it's the mission. I think
because that's what it really needs.
Either way, it's just like it's a different variant of that ride, essentially.
Yeah,
it'll be fun,
and they're breaking that timeline. Obviously,
yes.
I think they've accepted that.
No, they don't know what
they've already introduced the Mandalorian walking around there.
They don't know what's going on timeline-wise in Galaxy's Edge. Also opening 2026, World of Frozen in Disney Adventure World, which, if you didn't know, they also rebranded Disneyland Paris Resort as Disney Adventure World. And there's going to be some fun stuff going on over there. World of Frozen is opening. I think they've already started constructing that. They had to have, because it's opening in 2026. That's it for 2026. Kind of a dry year in terms of actual openings.
Especially domestically.
Opening 2027, we have a new Indiana Jones attraction over in Animal Kingdom, but it opens in 2027, so you got time to go ride Dinosaur. They said this so smartly because like they are like, oh, it's coming out in 2027 because we wanted to give you time to get on Dinosaur before then. When in reality, it probably is just like, this is the fastest we could open this thing, but we'll tell them it's so that they could get their dinosaur in. And then they'll be like, thank you. That's very considerate. I think that's what happened, but I respect the craftsmanship. I respect the game. And I like that you spun it this way, because honestly, even though I knew they were spinning it, I was like, you know what? Maybe I will be able to get down to Disney World and get on Dinosaur last time.
We have a chance.
We have a chance to get our fucking shit scared out of us by a giant dinosaur.
What's really funny is they actually might get a decent amount of West Coasters. They might incentivize them to make this flight. If they're like in between, like going next year or like the year after, it's like, oh, I might not get Dino.
It gives me
time.
It's
a very small bracket of people. But I'm in that bracket, unfortunately.
Maybe I could take my 2 nephews down to Disney World, traumatize them before the buzzer hits.
Build that character.
Exactly. It's good to traumatize your kids. And this is the best ride to do it on, bar none. At least now in today's world, I do think this is the only ride that truly is made to fucking scare the hell out of your kids. Yeah. Scares the hell out of me. And I'm a man.
Yeah, I'm not really stoked about this.
An adult man.
We have our indie ride here, but you know what? All is forgiven if they bring Dr. Seeker.
Oh yeah. They put Dr. Seeker at some point into this ride. If they recast that actor, and make him somehow be involved in the Indiana Jones adventure. The concept art looked really cool. It looked like there was like some kind of floating, like cross-like item. It looks very similar to the item that's at the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's like a kind of like a Spanish style cross. If you're familiar with that film, it kind of looks like that.
And I think they're trying to keep it in the spirit of like back when Animal Kingdom was originally developed.
Yeah,
there was Beastly Kingdom, so they were actually going to also celebrate fictional animals, and it seems like this journey for Indiana Jones will be after some sort of mythical creature.
You really think so?
I know so.
What do you mean? How do you know so?
That's what they said.
That's what they said?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, I read up on afterward, but they...
Wait, what? That's awesome.
Yeah. So Indiana Jones will be looking for some sort of mythological creature. That is hopefully like a mission that is presented to you by Dr. Seeker.
Honestly, dude, I'd actually still be down for just Indiana Jones plus dinosaurs. I think that'd be really funny. Why not, dude?
Just keep the time rover.
Exactly. Just keep the time rover. Have Indy walk out riding a T-Rex. Why not, dude? Let's go. Let's just do it. I'm excited for this. It's the same ride system. It's a reskin. It's a reskin of a reskin. Dinosaur was a reskin of Indy, and then they took the skin off, and they were like, let's go back to the original skin.
Well, they just inherited that layout.
Exactly.
I would be surprised if they change the layout at all.
They won't.
I just don't see that. Sense,
also, there's no way to discern whether you're turning left or right anyway in Dinosaur as it stands. It's so damn dark in there.
I mean, it took me years to realize it was the same layout.
We've covered Dinosaur. Oh yeah, we covered it with George Brown.
Yeah, we've covered both.
I'm really excited for this ride, honestly. I know it's some people aren't that stoked about it because it's just, another indie ride, but I love Indiana Jones. It's one of my favorite properties of all time. And the fact now that he's going to be chasing some sort of like mythical creatures.
The fact that it's going to be a brand new storyline changes my opinion to it, to a certain degree.
It's not just Temple of the Forbidden Eye. Yeah.
I felt like at a certain point, like I was losing a lot of incentive to go to Disney World because I'm like, well, we have all these here, and now you're just duplicating them all over there.
Yes, more on that later. Yes, moving on, that opens in 2027. Also opening in 2027 is the Encanto ride. And this looks really cool, honestly. You get to go inside the casita. Here's how it's described. Guests arrive on the day Antonio receives his gift to communicate with animals. The casita brings furniture to life to allow us to travel through the house. It kind of looks like a Pretzel Dark ride, honestly, from the concept art. Have you seen the concept art of this?
I've looked at concept art of it. At first, I thought it was like, oh gosh, is this going to be another boat ride? Doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. My best guess is it's going to be a trackless.
That makes more sense.
Dark ride. If I haven't been, Hong Kong is the only Disney park I haven't been to at this point.
Oh, you're thinking like Mystic Manor?
Mystic Manor, I feel like they're gonna take a lot of inspiration from it. If I'm just making weird ass.
If it's also like a magical house, you could see the track list being really kind of cohesive with that, like spinning around and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like just the playful energy of it. I could see it actually being like a really good fit.
What this whole area, the Tropical Americas area, it does look exciting.
I mean, I've been wondering this for probably the last 10 years, where it's like, why isn't like, I feel like South America or, you know, some sort of Latin America should be featured in Animal Kingdom. So it's cool.
Here it is.
They went forward with it.
This was also described as, quote, the first major attraction based on Encanto. So it's major. So that suggests to me e-ticket of some sort. We'll see. I could be reading into that, but I do think this looks really fun. And obviously this film was a huge smash.
Yeah, and I think it's going to bode really well for Indy too, that people don't have to go in with the expectation of Indy like
carrying the land.
Yeah, being this major e-ticket. I think it'll serve as a terrific supplementary attraction.
Also opening in 2027 to round this out, there's going to be 4 more cruise ships between 2027 and 2031. There's already 5 in existence. There's already 4 that are in the works, not counting these 4. That would bring the fleet to 13. It's a lot of cruise ships.
Insane. I wonder how many ports total they're out of now.
I'm not going to lie. I have zero to little desire to ever get on a cruise ship. So this is like not for me. That's fine.
Have you ever been on one in general?
I've never been on a cruise ship. The only one I've been on is the Galactic Star Cruiser.
That's right.
And I did not enjoy it. So
we might have to do a debrief on our experience at some point. But yeah,
I'll call up our pal Jenny.
I was feeling like, yeah, you know what? If you didn't like that, yeah, right. Jenny, she had a few things to say.
You got any more things you got to get in on the Star Cruiser?
But cruise ships, I've never been a huge fan of them. I think there's a time in my life where I will appreciate them.
Yeah.
I enjoy more of like the spirit of like backpacking and like I'm like spending a considerable amount of time on land, like.
I feel like I just get the
getting a sense of what the culture is, or, you know, like, whereas like cruise ships, like, all right, like be back here by 5 p.m. to enjoy your buffet again.
The only cruise ship news I enjoy hearing is like things like the poo ship, like that Caribbean cruise that became like the poo cruise, where it was just buckets of poo everywhere.
Oh boy.
Anyways,
but, I will add on a more positive note, I do hear that like Disney cruise experiences are like
I hear they're great.
Level.
I hear they're great.
I think if I ever went on a Disney cruise, I think I was like a toddler or something and wouldn't have remembered it.
Yeah.
They are obviously more expensive than your traditional cruise line, but I think you get like, you know, you get these top notch like theatrical or like theater productions.
Does Winnie the Pooh come and tuck me into bed or something?
That would be a plus. That would be worth the price on its own.
Maybe I'll do that.
So, and you get that, you know, you get that cast member Disney energy, and I've heard good things. What I'm getting to is they've been slowly working me for the last couple months. And it seems like with all these announcements of all these ships and stuff, which we were hearing about, like the Destiny and all, you know, the ones that are currently in construction, they've been beating us over the head with all the news of those, with the Haunted Mansion bar and stuff, leading up to the announcement of 4 more ships. So they're like, they're working us.
The bar, the Haunted Mansion bar, is the only thing that would even get me to consider going on one. And I wish they could just dock the boat and I'd be like, could I get on this? I want to be in this bar for an hour and a half and then I want to leave. Could I do that? I'll pay to get into the bar. I'll pay you $50 right now just to let me in.
I mean, then I
want to leave.
The biggest problem with this is the same problem I have with the Star Cruiser. I want some rides.
I want rides. Moving on. That's all the things that are confirmed to be open in those years. Now let's move on to construction, and let's take the timeline back. What's going to be starting construction now or in the year 2025? Leading off with Tropical Americas. We just talked about this. This is that first major, I guess, Latin American land in Animal Kingdom. It's going to include Encanto. It's going to include a carousel, and then also the Indiana Jones attraction. They describe this as work will be in phases.
Oh, our favorite.
Phased openings, dude. But that's also because they want people to get that dinosaur in.
It's the only time that I'll like
allow it. Yeah, you know, well, a dinosaur's closing last. So
I mean, I always have to allow it.
Here's how they described it. But work starts first on Encanto, then the carousel on the land, and then dinosaur. So get your dinosaur in. I do love them dinos, sir.
And for all those fans of Triceratops Spin, I'm sorry, but I don't think there's any fans.
Yeah, real tragic loss there. Yeah. Avengers Infinity Defense and Avengers Campus.
We're back to California Adventure.
That's right, California Adventure. Avengers Campus expansion, I guess you want to call it. It doubles the size of that land. This is starting construction in 2025. Just a little quick on both of these. Avengers Infinity Defense. It's described as taking guests to New York, Wakanda, and Asgard to fight King Thanos in a multiverse battle, because everybody loves the multiverse.
And we've known about...
We can't get enough multiverse. Please give me more multiverse.
We've known about this concept for years.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just got silent about it.
Well, first it was a Quinjet, if you remember that.
It was a Quinjet.
Which is why you have the Quinjet outside on the facade of what was supposed to be the show building, which I guess is the show building still, but yeah.
Or at least it's part of it. Looks like they're extending it though. That's what I originally thought was going to be like the main facade, but it looks like there's going to be a lot built behind it and you'll actually enter further back.
I have no idea. I mean, I'm super excited to finally get something in this land because Web Slingers is a horrendous attraction. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably one of the worst rides I've ever been on.
Well, so no spoilers for that episode.
But I am excited for the Avengers ride. It does look very much like the ride system that is over in Transformers and Spider-Man.
It looks to be that
looks
way.
like that,
we just
but we don't know
what the functionality is. People are predicting, and once again, I haven't really looked at POVs of Peter Pan over at the new Fantasy Springs in Tokyo. That ride vehicle looks like very similar in shape and capacity as what this looks like.
Yeah.
Biggest difference, of course, being that the color scheme on these ride vehicles is more reminiscent of, like, let's say those time heist suits that they wore at the end of Endgame.
That's right.
So that is like the best guess for what the ride system is, but I don't know what the Peter Pan ride system does because I haven't watched it.
Neither do I.
I'm
going to be going to Japan soon, and I cannot wait.
You'll get a first glimpse of that ride system, just like I got a glimpse of another ride system back in 2016, which we'll probably discuss very soon.
Pooh's Honey Hunt?
No, it was in Shanghai Disneyland for another DCA,
Pirates.
Another DCA attraction we're about to talk about.
I mean, they did release a little bit of a kind of like a sneak peek video for Avengers Infinity Defense, which is the official name of this ride. It looks like the ride vehicle from Transformers, but it also is entering through the Cosmic Rewind portals that you see. So who knows? We don't know. I'm just a little worried that it's going to be a primarily screen-based attraction where you're like traveling through somewhat live environments, but mainly you're just interacting with screens. I'm worried about that, which would mean that 2 rides in this land are screen-based attractions.
I think that expectation should stay where it is.
It's exactly what I'm going to expect, and unless they release something more concrete, that's where it's going to be. I think in that sense, maybe I won't be as disappointed. I'm just worried about getting too excited about this one. The next ride that they talked about, actually, this one's pretty interesting. It's Stark Flight Lab. I did not see this one coming. I did not see them announcing 2 attractions in this land.
This was very left field. I was starting to like reach a point where I'm like, I don't know, they're just going to kick this under the rug and just maybe never do this attraction or in terms of Avengers and Infinity Defense. But to get a second attraction announced at the same time,
and to see how far along it was, they released a video or a picture at the very least of
RDJ
of Robert Downey Jr. and Bob Iger on this ride system already. And Robert Downey Jr., by the way, reprising his role as Tony Stark for this ride. It looks like you're sitting in these pods, and then the pods then connect in the ride at some point to what looks like a Kuka arm that you would see over in Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. And then that picks you up, and then you're on it. Looks like a conveyor belt. It's a thrill ride. Basically, the whole story is you go into Tony Stark's test lab to test his new flight equipment. I don't know what to think of it. It looks cool, though.
This is what I think this is going to be. It's going to be a thrilling flat ride.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be an insane amount of, let's just say it, immersion or like incredible storytelling. It's going to be healthy filler, and it's going to provide some much needed kinetic energy to Avengers Campus, because it looks like in that concept art that you're going to see those things like moving around.
Oh, I didn't think
as you approach the building.
I thought it was going to be enclosed. The entire
I
thing.
thought, I mean, it looks like it might be see-through. I hope it is, because I think they need something that kind of
catches your attention other than that mechanical Spider-Man.
If they just hide it in a box and just like wave you around on a Kuka arm, I don't know. Either way, it is something we weren't expecting.
I was not expecting this. I was pleasantly surprised.
It's not taking anything away.
No, exactly. Addition
So in
by
that
addition.
regard, in a park that I do think needs more filler attractions, I think California Adventure has like a great slate of e-tickets, but there's not a lot of things like sticking it all together.
Well, it's definitely going to get more e-tickets. More on that in a second. Moving on to what's going to be coming or what's going to be constructed, starting construction in 2025. I mean, there are so many announcements here. This is fucking crazy. Cars Land 2, essentially. They're going to be making a new Cars Land in Magic Kingdom, and this is going to be in front of Big Thunder, essentially. They announced something that's going to be behind Big Thunder as well. We'll talk about that in a second. But Cars Land 2, Magic Kingdom. Disney has revealed new concept art for Frontierland that shows Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America are going to be replaced by a new Cars Land, as well as 2 Cars attractions. Construction starts early next year. Disney says the first Magic Kingdom expansion permits will be filed this week and work will be, quote, revving into high gear next year. The first ride is going to kind of like an off-road Radiator Springs. Here's a quote: better bring your off-road tires for this one, end quote. And then they said that the Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island will be, quote, transformed into vast and rugged terrains for a, quote, brand new thrilling rally race through the mountains, climbing trails, and dodging geysers. So, I mean, and the concept art does look cool. And also the second attraction is going to be geared more towards families. There's obviously some people who are not going to like this announcement because it gets rid of Tom Sawyer's Island and the Rivers of America, basically completely changing the look of Frontierland.
Yeah, and they're totally like redefining what Frontierland means.
They're basically basing it
there.
around the idea of adventure.
Or just like there's more frontiers out there than just like the American West.
That's true.
That like spans time. And like I guess it's decent wordsmithing. And I'm willing to drink enough Kool-Aid to be like, all right, give it a shot. But I feel like from the videos I've seen of the D23 announcements this year, this one got somewhat more of a lukewarm reception compared to the hoots and hollers that you got from a lot of these other announcements.
Well, it's also because like you probably have a lot of park purists in that crowd, and hearing that Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer's Island are going away, I could see that knee-jerk response being kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't care that much, honestly. I think this is going to be kind of cool.
They do a terrific job with the Rivers of America here at the original park in California. Yeah. I would feel very differently, but then again, that's not Magic Kingdom's not my home park, so maybe people that grew up with that there, they are going to feel a little more sour about.
That's true. If they announced this for our park in Disneyland, Walt's park, I'd be. I don't know if I'd be upset, but I'd be like concerned at the very least. The only thing is, my whole critique of Magic Kingdom is I've always felt it was just a watered down Disneyland, in that like it doesn't have nearly as many attractions. It's kind of sprawling, a lot of concrete. I actually kind of like the pivot away from making it more of a carbon copy of Disneyland.
Yeah.
So
I think it might, and once again, there's like another big announcement that we're going to talk about, but it seems like Magic Kingdom is going to kind of get more of its own identity, where it always felt to me like an inherited identity from Disneyland.
Exactly,
that they just like, all right, let's make it like bigger, but it didn't seem like it had as much substance.
Well, I mean, it still has Big Thunder, and it has a new and improved Country Bear Jamboree, which I have not seen yet. So I don't even know if I want to call it improved because I haven't seen it. But you know, this is going to be interesting. And this is what I was saying. There's construction in front of Big Thunder, and there's going to be construction behind Big Thunder.
Beyond Big Thunder.
Beyond Big Thunder. This is kind of like if like some like major corporation bought a plot of land where a bunch of people live, and then one person was like, I'm not selling. I'm going to keep my house in the middle of this big lot. And that's Big Thunder. Moving on. Also breaking ground in 2025, the Monsters, Inc. land. Folks.
And this is at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Disney's Hollywood Studios. I was hoping it would come to California Adventure, Byron and I had hypothesized about this back when we covered Monsters Inc. the ride with our friend Amanda Pham.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people online tagging me saying like, Disney owes you money for this idea.
Yeah, I got a few DMs in my Instagram,
which I appreciate,
over
by the way.
Weekend.
But we had heard rumors of this for a while. Like this wasn't our original idea.
No, I mean, if you were a Disney fan and you grew up watching Monsters Inc., I think collectively we all had that, even if we weren't communicating it back in the early 2000s, where as soon as you saw that scene with the doors,
roller coaster,
you're just like, wow, that would make for an incredible attraction. And what's funny is like shortly after Monsters Inc. came out, California Adventure overhauled Superstar Limo to make it Monsters Inc. But when I heard a Monsters Inc. ride was coming out, where, you know, young me wasn't necessarily, didn't have all that information that we have at our fingertips now, you're kind of hoping and praying, is there a way they could build this door coaster, only for me to get what we got? And then
but there had been rumors that this was somewhat noodling around over at Walt Disney Imagineering for a while.
There's no way it couldn't have.
I mean, that we didn't come up with that on the spot. No. I don't think so. Like this had been kind of talked about in threads for a while. So I do appreciate everyone who was like, they owe you guys some money. I would love for them to give me some money.
No, sadly, I don't think we get credit for that. Because
we don't. We can't take the credit.
No joke. I knew that like when I thought about like when it hit me when I first saw Monsters Inc. in what was it, like 2003 or two? I don't know, early 2000s.
Is this a Mandela effect? Am I crazy? I feel like this was on threads, or did we? I don't know. I have no idea. All I know,
it seemed like a layup. It seemed like that scene was like made to be turned into a ride, and I feel like collectively Disney fans have been hoping and praying for this to happen.
Well, and also it's perfect. It's a perfect property for a land too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Monsters Inc.
I don't know where I will give myself a little bit of credit.
Okay,
is once again, I don't know if we talked about this during the Monsters Inc. episode, but over the past couple years, I've been able to experience a couple of suspended roller coasters, which they announced this is going to be the first suspended Disney roller coaster.
Yes.
I had the privilege of going on a couple suspended family coasters that were manufactured by Vekoma, which is the main manufacturer for Disney roller coasters at this point.
Yeah.
And so I went on one in Coney Island a year ago. And then a few months ago, I went on one at Dollywood. And both times when going on those coasters, I thought, this is the ride system for Monsters Inc. if they were to ever go forward with a door coaster. And if you look at the concept art for this Monsters Inc. coaster, those trains look very, very similar to this type of suspended model.
Oh, dude, I'm so stoked.
And I will say, these things are a blast. I think they perfectly thread the needle of being insanely fun, a little bit thrilling, but accessible to the entire family.
How does it compare to, say, a suspended coaster like Ninja at Six Flags?
A lot more glossy smooth. It's going to be a lot smoother. Once again, Ninja, that's like an arrow. That's one of the first, that's a swinging suspended.
That's what I'm thinking. The swinging suspended is kind of what I was wondering.
I don't think you're not going to get the swinging suspended, but the track profiling is pretty amazing. I don't know if, for those familiar with Cosmic Rewind, you'll know that like there's like a very like surfy, like fun surfy motion that it does a lot with a lot of that track profiling that you kind of get in this suspended for the coasters that I've rode of this type. So I just think you combine that. And
you're talking about Cosmic Rewind in the sense that it's by the same manufacturer, not
same
manufacturer. Because Cosmic Rewind's not suspended, so
no. I'm just talking about how like the track, the way that it like it's profiled, it kind of has these like surfy, like floaty turns. I don't know how best to describe it, but it's very different than your traditional roller coaster.
Yeah.
But you get a sense of that with these new family suspended models, except of course now you're going to be under the track. I think you combine this like perfect level of thrill for the whole family with the incredible theming that they're going to be able to bring to the table, and you're going to have like a knockout coaster.
Well, I mean, here's how it's described. Quote, you'll go into the factory and experience the first suspended coaster ever in a Disney park. Remember in the movie how those claws grab the doors and hoist them up into the air to take them away? We're doing that too, and you're going along for the ride. End quote. So I guess that part is the part that intrigues me the most. The claw coming down, does that mean that
That's going to be very, so that,
does it not start as suspended and then it becomes suspended? Because I've heard rumors of this ride system or this idea for the Zelda ride over in Universal Studios Orlando.
well, that was transitioning from
Islands of
water
Adventure.
to suspended.
It was
right?
transitioning from a water ride to suspended, when Link does his little glider.
Uh-huh.
So it is possible, it seems like, to have something not start as suspended and then become a suspended coaster. And if that's what this is suggesting, that kicks ass.
My best guess is that they're going to, if you're familiar with the Hagrid's coaster or other coasters that feature a drop track,
Yeah.
It'll kind of reverse engineer that where the track will now lift directly up after you load. Like the track as a whole. The entire train will get basically sucked straight upward. And funny enough, they did release like a model of this track layout.
Yeah.
It's essentially like kind of like the old school style of designing roller coasters.
Yeah.
Where it's basically just like a little wire and
Yeah.
that's kind of just bent into certain ways to kind of create, a potential layout. And if you look at that, like if you look really closely at that model, you'll notice what looks like it would be the loading area, or my best guess, because it just features the most straight track.
Yeah.
And also you could see that it kind of separates into two spots when like Disney's very good about doing like multiple loading, like the dual loading tracks.
Yeah.
So in that section, you could look at it and it looks like the elevation is a little bit high for where those tracks are situated. And that makes me wonder if you actually load below that and then it
brings you up.
And it brings you up.
Yeah.
Because it like, once again, it's just a model. I don't know
It's
how
only a model.
accurate the heights are.
Zoolander.
But I was like looking at those, those little fake support columns.
Yeah.
Or essentially like needles in this model. And I'm like, those are sitting pretty high up to start a ride. So that would make complete sense that it's kind of the...
you get brought up, yeah.
Yeah, the entire track carrying the train will just go straight up, almost like, a free fall tower.
And that'll also make it a very thrilling loading station moment.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome. But to put a bow on this, construction begins 2025. As would be suggested by this section of the show, and is going to be at Disney Hollywood Studios and the land as well, 2025. I'm excited just as much for the land because I've always thought the universe of Monsters Inc. is so much fun.
I think a Monstropolis has been a long time coming. I think it's going to translate really well, especially in Hollywood Studios. Funny enough, that it is like such an IP dumping ground. It just seems to fit.
Also, the reason why I just didn't think this was going to happen, it's such an old franchise, and I don't know if Monsters University did amazing. So I'm just surprised that they would go this hard on an older property. So I'm thrilled
because they haven't
that.
done besides like they did like a Monsters at Work series, I think, on Disney Plus, but like nothing nothing huge, right?
No. Moving on, construction in 2026. I swear to God, it's so many announcements. It's 2026, we got the Coco boat ride, which isn't going to be in California Adventure. That's breaking ground in 2026. Don't have too much more on that, but the concept art looked really cool.
Yeah, this is one of those left field announcements.
I did not expect
because
this.
the majority of these were things that were teased.
Yeah.
So it was great to get like an official announcement. But it was also like, okay, these were on our radar as Disney like nerds or theme park fans.
Yeah.
It's great to get that assurance. Maybe I think it's going to happen, but. For this one, I mean, no one was throwing this around the rumor mill.
As far as like properties, Pixar properties in the last like decade, I haven't really been as in on them. Coco is the exception.
That is an exception.
I love this movie. So I'm honestly so stoked for this boat ride. I'm glad that Coco's finally getting some love. I'm sure it'll make you cry by the end.
I always thought that this was going to
dump those tears into the reservoir.
You know what? I think there's a lot of potential for that emotional.
I hope so.
That hit, because I looked at closely at the concept art. If you look at those little boats, you're not just sitting in a boat, but they look like their own little individual, like wooden rocking chairs or wooden.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. That's a keen eye.
I haven't no one has brought it up to I might have this wrong, by the way. This is just like from what I was looking at in the concept art, but it looks like the back like rests or whatever of these little boats. It looks reminiscent of like a little wooden chair, potentially like a little wooden rocking chair, which took me back to the scene with Coco.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm like wondering if like, is there some sort of like POV through,
I don't know why boat ride just makes so much sense for Coco, because it's kind of a floaty experience. I don't know. I'm really, really stoked to see them recreate this world, and I hope they do it justice. This is actually one of the announcements that I was most excited about, because I just wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it.
It was a great surprise. I think boat ride's a good fit. California Adventure it has Grizzly River Run, but doesn't have boat rides.
And it doesn't have family rides for the most part, other than Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
So
now they're going to get 2 boat rides. Stay tuned.
Oh yeah. Dude. So that does it for things that are going to be constructed in 2026. Starting construction, that is. Now moving on to the last section here. Here are some announcements they made that have no timeline. And these are big ones. We got Pandora, or as I'm calling it, Pandosa. Pandora 2. It's coming over to California Adventure. This has been theorized all year that this was going to happen, to the point where there are several videos on YouTube from people saying where they're going to put Pandora. And obviously because Disney themselves, Bob Iger himself, has said that it's going to be coming to Disneyland Resort at some point. And we finally get it confirmed. Pandosa coming over to California Adventure. It is a boat ride. I think it's going to be the same ride system that they have over in Shanghai for Pirates, which I don't actually know what that ride system does. So I'm doing everything I can to avoid spoilers.
If that's the case, and that's what it looks like, because the boats look very similar in size.
Yeah.
To the ones that are at the Pirates in Shanghai. I have, like, ever since I rode that in 2016, I've just been wondering, how is this ride system not getting implemented anywhere stateside or anywhere else globally?
It must be hard. It must be like
It's got to be insanely
advanced.
difficult, or maybe insanely expensive.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Well,
but
they needed a property that would warrant that kind of price tag.
yeah, all I will say is when I was not expecting what I got. I was expecting just Pirates of the Caribbean, like in traditional form. And I was in Shanghai by myself.
That's what I would have expected. So I'm kind of
sitting-
sad. I now know there's something crazy that happens.
I was sitting in the back row, like just by myself, just like, all right, cool, Pirates. And my jaw just dropped for the entire ride. So I'm stoked that they're finally bringing this ride system to the States. I think it's going to find a perfect place with Avatar. I think there's so much they can do with it.
A revolutionary ride system, and you add my boy Jim Cameron. This guy's about to go hard in the paint on this thing. That's probably why there's no timeline, because Jim's like just clearing out right now. He's got like a whiteboard just full of ideas. You see some concept art. Like Byron said, these boats look big. They're going through some caverns. You see some those big ass whale things. You know, the ones that from the second film when she's like, "How's your baby?"
Yeah.
When they talk to the whale.
Oh my God.
That part made me laugh so hard in the movie when she's just having a straight up like catch up session with a whale.
Yeah, so much pain, or what is it? Or it hurts.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's interesting, but
no timeline though. But here's a quote: "Join an excursion to Pandora, and it's described as dynamic, intense, and an emotional experience." And also, quote, something that could be dangerous.
Which is pretty evident in the concept art. It looks like the boat is in this beautiful, bioluminescent body of water, but you're surrounded by those big almost whale, like alien jaguar looking creatures that they have in Avatar.
Also, the idea, join an excursion, which is interesting. So it's kind of like a Kilimanjaro safari setup where you're going on an excursion with like a travel company. You go to see the beauty of Pandora. It goes bad. It's a classic storyline. I'm a big fan. We had lamented on past episodes of this podcast about how they're taking away the idea of peril in rides. I like the fact that it's like, let's kill these tourists. That's my favorite storyline for a ride. It always will be. And I'm glad they're doing it here. But we have no idea when that's coming, but it's coming to California Adventure. And honestly, did you see anything? We're recording this podcast Monday following D23. So this is August 12th. As of right now, we don't know where in California Adventure it's actually going to be. Like, I don't know where it's going to be.
No, there are opinions. A lot of people think Hollywood Land's going to go.
Yeah.
I don't know how the sight lines are going to work though, with Avengers Campus being right there.
Some people have theorized that it's going to go where the Redwood kind of like creek little area
Which
is right in front of Grand Californian.
Just updated, so
and it also would ruin the theming of Grand Californian.
Then you can't have it. It's gonna like you'd have to get rid of like Grizzly Peak potentially. You'd have to get rid of like the Grand Californian is not going anywhere. Once again, I might be eating these words soon, but I think if you built it over there, you'd have to get rid of the Grand Californian or retheme it. And I just don't see that happening.
No, that's going to be crazy expensive.
It doesn't look like there's enough room over where like Silly Symphony Swings is.
No. Also, people who
Goofy
think it's
Sky
going to go
School.
for Redwood, it would retheme. They would take the place of Grizzly. It probably would even maybe take up Soarin'.
Yeah, I just don't know why they would have refurbished the Redwood Trail or like that playground.
Yeah. Well, it does say no timeline, so it's possible this is way in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, I thought they were going to start breaking ground on it next year, though, potentially.
I didn't see that.
Maybe that's optimistically speaking, but I thought they might have hinted at it. It could be a 2027 or a 2026 sort of thing.
Once again, we are recording this on August 12th, so we don't know.
Yeah.
But as far as we know right now, there is no timeline on this. So let's just move on. Next thing with no timeline, and this is also a huge one, Villains Land. This is coming behind Big Thunder, or as they've been referring to it in the past, beyond Big Thunder. So Big Thunder is just sandwiched by two new huge lands, Villains Land and then also Cars Land. This is interesting. I mean, this has been rumored for a while that land behind Big Thunder would become a Villains Land. It makes sense. It would be right next to Haunted Mansion as well. In the actual presentation itself, they use the phrase foolish mortals or something along those lines.
Foolish mortals or poor
unfortunate souls, I think is what they actually said.
Which, by the way, that whole announcement for this
no, that makes sense. Yeah, it wouldn't be foolish mortals because that would be directly a Haunted Mansion timeline. They're referring to, what's her face? Ursula.
But that whole announcement, based off the videos I saw that people took of it, at D23 was pretty epic.
People were losing their minds.
It was essentially like a fake ending to the showcase where like Josh D'Amaro was wrapping it up. They had just done like some like little like Deadpool integration. He's like, yeah, Deadpool, funny way to end this like thing or whatever. And he's trying to like close it up. And of course he gets interrupted by the magic mirror.
It's so good. Yeah, it was very theatrical and also just I'm so stoked for them to make a Villains Land. I have been wondering what a year-round spooky attraction land would look like within Disney, and we're finally getting it. I'm stoked about that because I've always loved the year-round spooky attractions over at Universal, and obviously we're getting a year-round spooky land over in Epic Universe when it comes to a Dark Universe, but it's going to be what a time to be alive over in Florida, coming up around the corner here when you have two really well-themed spooky attractions all year long. And for somebody who loves Halloween and spooky season as much as I do, this is definitely catering to me. Here's some how they describe Villains Land. Quote, the space will be home to two major attractions, dining and shopping on an incredibly twisted grand scale. It's a fearless new vision for what a Disney experience can be. That sounds amazing. Like, I mean, they clearly are not selling it short there. They're selling us on the idea that this is not just going to be a cute little land. I'm hoping this is going to be something that's like a Galaxy's Edge or like a Cars Land. And the fact that it's being built next to a new Cars Land is just, they're kind of going hard in the paint right now. However, no timeline for Villains Land. We don't know when this is going to happen.
And I just love that it's going to be on the outskirts of like Fantasyland, just looming in the far distance. The concept art looks so grandiose that there's no way they're going to match whatever
that concept art looks insane.
I don't think it's possible to match that scale, but I mean, I don't know.
How would you describe it? It's like, it kind of looks like the Badlands from Lion King in terms of just like the landscaping, but then the palette of it is like this like dark blue kind of
it's vast. It looks devastated.
Yeah.
As the magic mirror suggests, a land that is twisted and broken.
Exactly. And then you see that represented in the architecture and also even just the landscaping. In the back of the land, it looks like there's a giant castle of some sort that sits atop like this kind of weird perch. It's kind of just precariously perched on the edge of it.
Yeah. It evokes an uneasy feeling, which is awesome.
We'll see. I'm hopeful that there's going to be a Haunted Mansion restaurant. That was my first thought when I saw it. I was like, this is right next to Haunted Mansion. Let us get that restaurant. Let me get in that restaurant. And we'll see. What do you think the 2 attractions are going to be?
I have no clue. Oh, you know what? I have a good guess, because if you look closely enough at the concept art, you can see something that resembles a roller coaster track. So it looks like there might be some sort of Maleficent themed coaster in the works.
I mean, we've already talked about Fantasmic on this show. My favorite part of Fantasmic is the essential Avengers team up the Suicide Squad of all the villains at the end of Fantasmic. So to see that represented in a land at large is going to be so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They could do anything they want with these attractions.
It looks like they're riding that horse to victory.
2 major attractions too. That's the craziest part about all these announcements. Every new land, 2 attractions at least. But yeah, I have no idea what this is going to be. I don't know when it's going to happen. But to close that out, the whole Big Thunder space, I guess we could call the whole thing at large Beyond Big Thunder now. Quote, this will represent the largest expansion in park history, end quote. And it's true. The largest expansion for Magic Kingdom ever. Going to completely change the fabric of that park, its identity. I think it's going to be an overall great thing. They killed it here. I wish there was a timeline. That's a nitpick, but whatever. The fact that it's going to happen is enough for me.
It's an absolute game changer in the sense that when I go over to Disney World from here in California, I don't have a big incentive to spend more than half a day at Magic Kingdom, to be honest.
No, me neither.
That's just not at the top of the priority. This is going to make people want to give Magic Kingdom an entire day. Although most people that do go to that's the most attended theme park in the world. So you can't discredit that.
No.
But the fact that they're going to create so much room for so much more capacity, which is desperately needed there, considering how long their wait times are there. And for everyone over here that just always looks at Magic Kingdom as, not as soulful or not as charming as our Disney one with less attractions, now we do feel like there is something special that Magic Kingdom brings to the table that we can't get anywhere else, and we are going to have to give it plenty of time.
I'm so stoked. Let's close out these announcements. I mean, we're still going here. Lion King Land, aka Pride Lands. Disney announced a brand new attraction themed to the animated Lion King. They were very specific about that. No one likes those live action ones. So they're like, this is the animated Lion King, the OG. And this is coming to Disney Adventure World in Paris. No timeline on this, but this sounds awesome. It's described as in the caverns beneath Pride Rock. There is a log flume ride. And the new ride, quote, will bring you alongside Simba's journey from cub to king. Log flume Lion King ride kicks ass. And you could see in the concept art a drop falling from Pride Rock with people in a log flume. It looks like Splash Mountain Lion King version, which is, I love it. It looks so cool.
I'm excited. Like, I'm happy.
And the land looks awesome too.
Yeah. Something I really miss from when Splash Mountain got changed was that log that sticks up to the sky, essentially.
Yeah.
It did 2 things. It created this kind of sense of fear.
Yeah.
In a fun way, and it also makes the mountain look so much bigger.
Yeah.
Than what it really is. And Pride Rock is going to give that same sensation.
And the land around looks like really fun, like I was saying. And we stayed at the Animal Kingdom Lodge when we went to Disney World for my bachelor party. The whole landscaping around that was crazy looking. So I imagine they're going to kill this. And there's going to be dining and shopping in this area too. I can't wait to go to this land. Don't know when it's going to open. And then here's the last 2 announcements that kind of just like went under the radar. The first is Tale of Moana. It's some sort of Disney treasure show. I'm not really sure what it is. Timeline unknown. Whatever. Sorry. If you're a fan of that, I don't know. I'm not into it. And then the last one is just like, oh yeah, we're also building a Spider-Man roller coaster in Shanghai Disney. And Shanghai, as we had already kind of alluded to, known for its crazy ride systems, I am stoked to see what they're going to do with a Spider-Man roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, there are opinions. I think a lot of us looked at that concept art and thought, wow, this is going to be Cosmic Rewind, but for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I could see that being possible. I think you could have a lot of fun with that ride system, actually, with Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, my mind would go, it makes more sense for it to be some sort of suspended attraction because of swinging.
Potentially that too.
Or maybe a hybrid.
I didn't see anything in the concept art that would
suggest suspended.
Yeah, but you never know. So my best guess would be it's going to be the spinning Cosmic Rewind type of coaster.
I have to say, though, I like what it represents in terms of what Disney's doing at large when it comes to roller coasters. And they're starting to make themed roller coasters that have actual theming around them with scenes, animatronics, story. They do that better than anybody else. Universal actually started to take the lead a little bit from them, I would say, with Hagrid's and Velocicoaster. But now to see both of these titans fighting each other with themed roller coasters, I mean, come on, it doesn't get much better than that. That's awesome.
It's a great time to be alive.
That's the whole thing. My whole takeaway from this, and I guess we could get into that later, I suppose. But I just love that this little war between the two of them has resulted in all of us winning.
Oh yeah. There was also an Avengers type ride going to Hong Kong.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
There's an Avengers ride going to Hong Kong. I think my best guess, looking at the concept art, is it kind of looks like a Tower of Terror type drop ride. I think it looks like Spider-Man's shooting his web down at what looks like an elevator type.
Oh, interesting.
System. Could be wrong. That would just be my best guess if
Hong Kong's they weren't trying to about us.
Yeah, pretty much. I would be surprised if they even duplicate the Walt Disney World Tower of Terror. My best guess is that they go for the Mission Breakout, more reduced version of Tower of Terror.
And I was going to say not a lot going on for Tokyo Disney, but they just got Fantasy Springs, which is apparently incredible. So,
Tokyo is eating good.
Yeah, I think they're going to be okay.
They're all right. They're not owned by Disney. They have already put so much money into recent attractions, which, by the way, they have held Tokyo D23s before. I think the last one was in 2018, though. So.
Also, really quickly before we move on to the end of this episode for the top 5, one thing I just wanted to point out to anybody that had the pleasure of seeing the Patrick Warburton intro to this panel.
Oh, that's right.
So goddamn good. They're really feeding the park heads. They even got the same guy who did the Little Beauty's hat. They got the same actor. Really, really, really loved it. I know that's definitely just kind of hand feeding us.
Yeah.
But I'm eating.
Clearly the little kid who puts his thumb up, his rate's too high now.
Yeah, they just got some different lady to do it.
But yeah, a full-on reenactment of that pre-show. They really went for it.
And then also I like that the anybody who was at the panel, I wasn't there, but I saw some video of the Horizon-themed animations for each of the parks around the world, accompanied by a live orchestra.
That's right. That's kind of how they tied it together.
It's really cool. Anyways, let's move on to the top 5. And like I explained up top, this is a list. This list of top 5s, or this top 5 list rather, is a consensus between Byron and I, formed by a point system. Well, it's weird doing this intro again. I haven't done this in a long time. It's formed by a point system. Byron and I each made our own top 5 lists individually. And between those lists, a ranking of first for an attraction is worth 5 points. A ranking of second is worth 4 points, and so on and so on. And then I tallied the scores between our 2 lists to create this aggregate list. As such, only I know the contents of this top 5 list, and the rankings will be revealed to not only you guys, but Byron too live. So for instance, if one of us, for some reason, was stoked about the Mandalorian addition to Smuggler's Run and ranked that number 1 in our list, that would receive 5 points. But let's say the other one of us had a cooler head and was like, hey, this doesn't even deserve a spot in my top 5. Then that would get 0 points. The combination of that would result in 5 points for that. And depending on where that falls on all of the rides together, it would either make or not make the list.
Please don't tell me there's any ties.
There is no ties.
Oh, thank gosh.
There are some muscle jobs in here, though.
Well,
here's what I describe as a muscle job: ranking something high on your list just so you could try and get it into the aggregate list because you know it won't get there unless you rank it high for no reason at all.
Look,
Byron was notorious for doing this.
I was objective.
Were you?
Yes,
because you were notorious for doing this in the past.
I had an original top 5, and I switched it around to be a little more objective.
Okay, that's what you say.
And I think it's the proper list, but we'll see how this shakes out.
Let's go into it. Number 5, according to Byron and I together without knowing it, is the Coco boat ride. You want to talk about a muscle job? This is me.
Yeah.
Byron did not have this on his list. I had it ranked number 4 on mine.
Okay. Yeah, I was considering it, putting it number 5. I just thought objectively, it's just not the biggest splash.
It isn't.
Although I appreciate it. That's, I think, why I ended up taking it off. But it was definitely an honorable mention that almost got into my list. So I could see it. I understand it being 5. That's a good.
I love it. I can't wait for this. It's probably, of all of the properties that are featured here, no, I mean, Indy's always going to be my favorite just because of me as a kid. But in terms of just like properties that we presented, I think it's my favorite one. So I'm excited that it's finally getting a ride.
I'm surprised that they didn't like take it over like 3 Caballeros over at Epcot or something. It's just going to be its own standalone.
That's what I always wondered.
No reskin. It's going to get a ground up boat ride, which is awesome.
And I'd like that Grand Fiesta Tour is going to stay over in Epcot in the Mexico Pavilion. Moving on. Number 4, Walt Disney, A Magical Life. Walt the Ride.
Fuck yeah.
That's Byron.
That's right.
That's all Byron.
That's right.
Byron had this number 2.
Yeah.
You put this as number. This is the thing you were second most excited about from D23.
Yeah. And then I was objective because I originally had it as number 1.
That's what you were visiting. I mean, we both muscled in the thing we were both personally most excited about, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I put mine at number 4, though. I think that's more respectable than if I put Coco Boat Ride 2, that would be questionable, which is what you've done here.
I'm going with this Walt Disney experience because I think it's going to be very timeless.
I had this as number 7 on my list, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Test number 3, Pandosa.
Nice.
This was number 3 for me, and this was number 4 for Byron. So this ends at number 3 on the aggregate list. Look, it's going to be cool. It's going to have a revolutionary ride system that it's featured probably over in Shanghai. That's not confirmed, but it's what it seems to be.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to hear more about it. It's the one that I'm going to be probably noodling about the most, just because there's more puzzle pieces. We don't know when it's going to start. We don't know where it's going to go.
I love the Pandora over at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about it. However, it is another Avatar land.
California Adventure also needs more nighttime things to keep you there, and this fits into that. World of Color, I know, is there,
good point.
But they need more things because that park already closes early. Yeah. I think when this comes, that means
it's like open a little later now.
10.
Yeah, which is most of the Disney World parks.
Yeah, but Disneyland closes at midnight typically, except for when we're going, Byron.
Right.
We're going for your birthday, and it's closing at 11 p.m. Did you see that?
Yeah. It's because the end of it's like the summer's winding down.
The hell's all that about?
It's all right. The lines are going to be shorter. Enjoy it.
But I'm just saying that I'm pretty stoked that this is probably going to make California Adventure open later. You would hope. But then again, Animal Kingdom not open later because of Avatar Land and the bioluminescent little area. You would think that they would make that open later.
They tried, and now they just shut it down at like 7 p.m. latest.
There's live animals there and shit. So yeah, I suppose. I wish that land was just open. Anyways, that's number 3. Number 2, the Monsters Inc. Land and Door Coaster. We both were very stoked about this. Obviously, we clamored for it to happen, and I cannot believe it happened. I honestly can't believe it. It's going to be so awesome. I can't wait to see this come to life. That was number 1 for me. Wow. I put that number 1. Byron, you put that number 3.
Yeah.
So here it lands in the aggregate list at number 2. Number 1, Villains Land. Yeah, it makes sense.
I originally had the Door Coaster for number 1, and then I had to be objective because that's just something I've wanted for so damn long.
Byron had this number 1. I had this number 2. It lands at number 1 in the aggregate list. Look, this is going to be fantastic. If they could fully realize what it looks like in that concept art, I don't think we will have ever seen anything like it. And I'm saying that even like now, seeing very clearly what Dark Universe is going to be. I'm very excited for Dark Universe, but this could be a game changer, even more so.
A challenger has entered the ring.
Player 2 has entered the game. But I will say Dark Universe probably going to lean more into actually being scary, whereas this will just be kind of a spooky haunted mansion-ish vibe. But over the course of a full-scale land with 2 major attractions, I mean, come on. I know Dark Universe has 2 attractions as well, but once again, these 2 are fighting each other, and I love it.
Yeah.
Let them fight.
Mm-hmm. I think this is just going to make the biggest change to any of the parks that they're making additions to. And for that, it has to be number 1.
Let's move on to some honorable mentions, and then we'll wrap this up. Indy got 1 point because I had it as number 5 on my list. I love Indiana Jones. I'm really excited for a new Indy adventure. Honestly, had I known that some of the story would involve him fighting some sort of mythical creature, this might have moved up into the aggregate because I would have ranked it a little bit higher, honestly. I still think it's nice to have it there in the honorable mention. And the Avengers Campus expansion got 1 point from Byron. I'm not as into the Avengers Campus just because it's possibly because the stink of the turd of web slingers that sits nearby is so pungent that perhaps it just kind of kept me away from that whole area. But I think between Avengers Infinity, what the fuck is it called? Infinity Defense.
Yeah.
That being what looks to be a screen-based attraction, plus the Kuka arm thing being kind of what Byron described himself as perhaps just a flat ride. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot of room for disappointment here, and that's why I could not put it higher than 5.
You had a 5, yeah.
But after all, it is the Avengers, like one of the biggest properties of all time. So I felt like it had to be somewhere on the list. But then again, it's also for being one of the biggest properties of all time. Don't think there's not as much as excitement as there is for, say, Villain's Land or Avatar. So,
if you're curious too, my list shook out this way: Door Coaster 1, Villain's Land 2, Pandora 3, Coco Boat Ride 4, Indy 5, Lion King Land 6, Walt's The Ride 7, Avengers E-Ticket 8, Spider-Man Coaster 9, Big Thunder 10, and then Pirates Lounge was 11. And Spaceship Earth Lounge was 12.
That's crazy. If we were going to talk about dishonorable mentions, I would say that I actually had Epcot as a whole. It's just really funny that for a showcase called Horizons, there really wasn't a lot of Epcot. But then again, I mean, what could you add to Epcot? And they've already been fed so well with Cosmic Rewind and Ratatouille in recent years.
I have some dishonorable mentions here. Villain's Land having no timetable, Lion King having no timetable. Beyond Big Thunder, it's kind of confusing theming wise, but honestly, I don't think that should be dishonorable. Yeah. Avengers Infinity Defense I have here. We already talked about that. Mando, I don't really care.
Funny that Cars did not make.
I was just going to say Tiana opening of November 15th is also my last one, but notable exclusions here on the aggregate list. Beyond Big Thunder, no Cars Land. I guess that's what we're calling it now. Not Beyond Big Thunder, I guess, is all of it together, but Cars Land not being on here, and no test track between either of us. And we both love the original test track. So I thought that was interesting too.
You know what I found interesting? I'm sure some people have done a deep dive at this point and picked this out. But on that Cars concept art for their main attraction, there are like over the shoulder, kind of like straps.
Yeah.
Like that you would you'd put on like if you were like on an off-roading, like side-by-side adventure, which makes me wonder, like, is this ride system going to be slot car, or is it actually going to be legitimate terrain and be something different?
Like Kilimanjaro?
Maybe Kilimanjaro, but with faster pace.
I mean, it looks cool. The off-road vehicles. Honestly, I am a little surprised it didn't get onto either of our lists. Mm-hmm. You know, we just had to get that Coco boat ride in there and Walt the Ride in there.
Because in the concept of like those wheels are on the gravel, they're on the dirt, they're kicking up dirt, whatever. It'd be weird, I think, if you just had that gray concrete slot car track. But then again, they're known for kind of scaling back after the concept art, so I'm curious to see what happens. But the straps over the shoulder, I found kind of intriguing.
Well, let's wrap this up because Byron actually has to edit this episode right after we're done recording to get it out to you guys tomorrow.
Well, after we record the next episode,
that's true. We are recording another episode. But what's final takeaway, Byron, from you and then from me, and then we'll get out of here.
It's going to be a really fun decade.
It is going to be a fun decade.
A really fun decade. A lot of this is going to take a substantial amount of time.
Yes.
And it's going to come out in like many different phases. So I think once we come off the high of all these announcements, we're going to realize that Epic Universe and Universal, they're going to have their day in the sun.
No, I don't think it's a mystery or a mistake, rather, that the things that are concretely opening in 2025 and 2026 are pretty limited. And I think that's because Disney realized, okay, we concede. You win 2025 and 2026, but we're coming for you after that. And I don't know if this is enough. I think it is. You know, who knows? We don't know what Epic Universe is actually going to be like in its execution. But I will say that over the next decade, between the two of them, because I'm pretty agnostic between the two of these, I've gone to Disney more over my lifetime, but as I've, gotten older, I don't care. I just want to get on rides. So the fact that we are going to be fed consistently between not only just Epic Universe and this, but like over in Universal Studios Hollywood, we're getting Hollywood Drift coming in 2026, and that ride looks fucking incredible. I'm really excited for the next decade of rides.
It's going to be very, very exciting. Going into this weekend, I had this prediction, not really a prediction, but thought like, maybe there's like a 20% chance
Third Gate
they announce a fifth park at Walt Disney World.
Oh, I was thinking Third Gate for over Disneyland Resort.
I just don't know. I just don't know if that's space for Disneyland Forward, if that's going to just be continuations.
Yeah, I guess we didn't get any
Disneyland
kind of
and California Adventure. I think I looked at over this like on Google Maps with my brother. Like I see a world where they just alter Disneyland Drive to expand California Adventure into where that downtown Disneyland parking lot is. And same with Disneyland for the cast member lot up there. I just don't know. I don't see it being enough for a complete park, but could be wrong. I could honestly see a world where Avatar makes it over to where that downtown Disney lot currently stands. But then again, it could take over something. Other takeaways is there's going to be some casualties. In the coming years. Rock and Roller Coaster might be on the block. Muppets might be on the block.
Well, Rock and Roller Coaster might be. I was seeing Alicia Stella talk about how some of the queue for Rock and Roller Coaster, the exterior queue might go away for Monsters Inc. land because there's already space back there. So you don't know. We have no idea. But
I hope it stays. I hope, because I think a big thing is creating more attractions and ultimately more capacity. So if you remove another e-ticket to bring another e-ticket in, you're not necessarily performing a slam dunk.
Just don't touch Tower of Terror and we're all good. You touch Tower of Terror, we're going to have a problem.
That would be a big problem. But yeah, very exciting decade up ahead. Any last thoughts?
No, I'm with you. I found it to be a very positive panel. I'm super excited. I mean, I have some nitpicks and some of the things I'm not too excited about. Some of them are obviously not for me.
Yeah. I thought there was a world where they're going to announce a new park. I think they went the route of just, plussing all their parks globally. Yeah. Which I think is a good move because they're already kind of behind the eight ball in terms of construction when it comes to Epic Universe. Like you said, Epic Universe is going to have its day in the sun, and Disney's going to let them have that. And
I kind of like that. I think
based on what we get out of Epic Universe is going to give Disney the option of having a new park to announce in like maybe the next D23 or the one after that.
Also, I prefer it where not everything comes out at once. Spread the excitement out.
Yeah. So everyone was very well fed this weekend with park news. So not having a new park is completely fine.
I'm full as hell. Yeah. I love it. It's a full life, as Tom Cruise once said in Mission Impossible Fallout. Shall we depart here?
I think that'll do it. Appreciate everyone for sitting in on a different formula, I guess.
We might be doing some more stuff like with top fives. I don't know if we'll be able to do the aggregate stuff going forward because it's going to be tough to do that when it's like the entire world at play. It was easier when it was more insular, like just constrained to Disneyland.
Yeah, I think you'd have to constrain it to different, like certain topics, maybe.
But I do like the aggregate. Either way, thank you guys for listening. That does it for this episode of For Your Amusement. If you're watching this, make sure you subscribe and like it over on YouTube. And if you're listening, rate and subscribe. Rate this bad boy 5 stars to keep this podcast going. But let us know in the comments. Were you happy with D23? Are you excited? Are you pissed? Can you not fucking wait to get your hands on Bob Iger?
Did
Josh tomorrow.
Did we miss out on some juicy details?
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
sure
we missed
did.
out.
There's
Yeah.
a lot. There was a lot that came out.
We tried,
so
and maybe more stuff is actually trickling out this morning.
we're still all, I think, collectively chewing on it as theme park fans. So.
But this was fun, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.